again.
All right. We're live. It's Prop the Mic, PTM, back with picks for the NFL Divisional Round playoff games after coming off some very successful back-to-back NFL wildcard weekend and Week 18 gambling. We couldn't wait to bring Lucas back on the show. As always, today's podcast is presented by Props.Cash. We 100% could not do what we do without Props.Cash. So if you think you're ready to level up your prop betting game, use code PTM at signup to get 25% off your first month. Welcome back, Lucas. Excited to have you back. How you boys doing?
Yeah, thanks Tom and Dave for having me back on the podcast. We had a great Week 18 podcast. The Super Wildcard weekend went pretty well for all of us, and hoping to continue this weekend with the Divisional weekend.
Did I see, Lucas, that you're up close to 100 units on the season?
Well, I had 100 units this last Monday.
That's awesome, man.
Units.
We're right behind you. I think we're at around 90. So it's great to see
there
that
this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to try to push to get to that 100 mark and catch up to you. But it's awesome that we both had a really successful season and looking to use the next couple weeks to keep adding to it. So you guys ready to jump into it?
Adding to it.
Yeah, of course. All right, so let's go. There's only 4 games to talk about this weekend, but they're all pretty good games, and I think some of them might be more competitive than the lines indicate. So let's just jump right into the first one. We got the Texans 10-7 on the season at the Ravens 13-4. Ravens are -9 at home. Total is 43.5. Let's start with Lucas. What's your favorite play in this game?
I sniped a Ravens -6.5 on ESPN bet the other day, so I'm very happy about that. And I got the Ravens -2.5 in a teaser. So this is my favorite game for props. I'm looking for Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely. No, we're not sure yet if Mark Andrews is going to play on Saturday. Looks like he probably will, but we're not entirely sure yet. So the only prop I have right now for this game is a Dalvin Cook anytime touchdown. I got him at plus 1,300. He's now down to, I think, plus 750 on FanDuel, so I'm excited about that. Got some good CLV there. Might cash that out for a little bit of profit. I bet a couple times, so I might get. Well, I did get a decent cash out offer, so I got a Dalvin Cook anytime touchdown. He got elevated to the 53-man roster just about an hour ago, so I'm expecting Dalvin Cook to maybe be RB1 for the. I don't know about this weekend, but maybe for the AFC Championship and for the Super Bowl. So got some great value there. I'm not sure if Gus Edwards or Justice Hill are every down backs. I think Dalvin Cook is a great fit with Baltimore. It's a couple props I was looking at, but I'm sure you guys are going to talk about C.J. Stroud. But with my Ravens teaser and my Ravens spread, I don't have any other props for this game right now.
Yeah, that's amazing to get. What was it, 6.5? And I think that was, you just caught a mistake, right? So you were.
Yeah, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. They had a -7, -6.5 available. I took that, so I was sniped that line.
Nice.
Bet.
All right. Well, they're the new guys to the game, right? They've been around for covering sports, but not for sports betting. So they're going to make some mistakes, and you're going to take advantage of it. It sounds like.
Hope so.
All right, Tom. What about yourself? What do you like in this one?
All right, it might change a little bit with this news, this Dalvin Cook news that he's been activated here. But I was on Justice Hill receiving here, so I wanted to kind of get you guys to weigh in. I liked his over 2.5 reception line at plus 102 on FanDuel. Also was looking. And receptions to running backs. That's 44 targets and 33 receptions. If we go back a little further in the season, since week 8, they're actually tied with Buffalo and San Francisco for most to running backs at 60 targets, 47 receptions. I liked his last 2 weeks with Lamar playing. He was 5 for 5 and 3 for 3 in those last 2 games of the season with Lamar at quarterback. And then in week 17, interestingly, he was targeted 10 times when Tyler Huntley was quarterback. Only had 3 receptions, though, on those 10 targets. So it's a little bit of a red flag. But Houston and Detroit have been the 2 best remaining teams at limiting the run this season. Houston, since week 8, only 2.3 yards per attempt, 0.86 yards before contact, 35 tackles for loss. To compare that to San Francisco and Buffalo, they've only had 9 tackles for a loss in that same time frame. So I think they might lean a little bit more on this, some passes out of the backfield here. If you look at the playoff game last week, Kareem Hunt had 5 receptions on a line of 1.5. Jerome Ford had 4 receptions on a line of 2.5. So I think this could be a good spot. Dalvin Cook maybe throws a little bit of a wrench in things here, but I think this was low enough at 2.5 receptions and plus money there that it got me.
Yeah. What do you think, Lucas?
Yeah, I do like Justice Hill to get the receiving work in this game. I think that's receptions or receiving yards are both a good play. I think receiving yards are something like 18.5. I'm not sure if 15.5. That's a good play too, I think, for Justice Hill.
15.5. Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually get it as low as 13.5 on FanDuel. So that was the angle that I was initially looking at. I mean, I kind of like the yards over the over the receptions, just because obviously he got a lot of targets, but he, like you said, he didn't have a great job converting those into catches. So 13.5 receiving yards seems really good. He's cleared that by a really good margin each of the last 3 weeks, whereas the receptions, he's just kind of getting there in 2 of the 3 weeks. So I'd go with receiving yards over receptions, but I do like the play.
That line must have just come down once that news of Dalvin Cook came out.
Yeah, this is plus money as well, the reception. So that might even continue to come down. You might even be able to get this at good value for 2 receptions, which I would like even more. All right.
Nice.
Any other plays on the Raven side?
On the Raven side, yeah, I got a couple here, and I see somebody on X just asked, Hot DB21's asking about Odell Beckham over receiving yards. That's one of the plays I'm on here. So obviously a little bit of a question mark. We don't know about Mark Andrews, big part of the receiving game. But wide receivers versus Houston is by far the best matchup of the remaining teams in the playoffs here. Since week 8, 15.3 yards per reception. Number 2 of the remaining teams is Detroit at 12.9. Last is Baltimore at 9.4. So big difference there. They've allowed the most yards before catch, by far the most explosive plays allowed. They've allowed since week 8, they've allowed 11 receptions of 40+ yards. Number 2 is Detroit and Tampa Bay at only 4 each. They've also allowed 6 receptions of 50+ yards. Detroit and Tampa Bay also sitting at number 2 at only 2 each. So giving up big explosive plays to receivers. So I like Zay Flowers over 49.5 receiving yards. Sorry, I just skipped. I like both of these guys. Let's do Zay while I'm on him right here. 49.5 receiving yards, -114 on FanDuel. I think this is a very nice matchup here, given the what wide receivers have been doing against this Houston secondary. And then getting to the Beckham line, I have him at 31.5 receiving yards, -115 on DK. If you click on his home road splits and look at what he's done at home this season, he's gone over this line in all 7 home games this season at 31.5. So given the matchup against Houston, I like both of these guys here.
Yeah, and both these lines came down. You can get Flowers for 48.5 and Beckham at 30.5 now. So I think whatever news with Cook came out is kind of drawing all the other offensive players down a little bit. I think that'll bounce back. So I think there's probably a overreaction to the news right now. And you can probably sneak in there right now and grab it for a little bit more value than we saw an hour ago. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like both of those plays. I actually wrote them both down. I put OBJ or Zay Flowers because I wasn't sure which one I liked better. I think they're both in really good matchups. And I think, I think you want to probably lean more towards the guy who gets the targets, which would be Zay Flowers. But OBJ is kind of the veteran, and he also seems to be a really good deep ball threat. So 30.5 seems really good value. So I'd probably play them both at half a unit and just kind of split the risk between the 2 of them. And I think they can both cash. Lucas, you have a lean either way, OBJ or Flowers?
I think it's a good idea to play both of them because I'm sure one of them will cash, but maybe get lucky and cash both Zay Flowers and Odell. I think you got a little discounted line there with Mark Andrews maybe playing, and Dalvin Cook now signed to the squad.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You're right. Actually, the discount is probably more coming from some news that hasn't even been announced yet about Andrews. So the books always find out the things before we do, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
But you can read into it. Speaking of Andrews, just to highlight, the tight ends versus Houston is a really good matchup. Against the Browns last week, Njoku had 93 yards, and Bryant, their second string tight end, had 65 yards. So those were the two leading receivers against Houston, accounting for 158 receiving yards. So whether it's Likely or Andrews or both of them, be very ready to pounce on those lines, because I think both of those are really good opportunities in this game. But obviously read the news, figure out what sort of snaps Andrews is going to play before you dive into those. But I think both of those are going to be good plays.
I'll be looking for both of those guys.
Yeah, we're going to be on the lookout for those. All right, how about on the Houston side? Tom, did you have anything on Stroud?
I do. Real quick, just like to give a shout out to Molly on YouTube, who got up at 5 a.m. in Australia to watch us after the great work she said we did last week. So thank you, Molly, for joining in from down under. That's very cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So I like CJ Stroud here. I'm a little nervous about this play, taking an under on CJ Stroud passing yards. But Baltimore really, when I'm digging into the model here, Baltimore has been great at not just holding quarterbacks in check, but also their wide receivers. On the season, the average QB rating against Baltimore is 72.4, which is by far the lowest among the remaining playoff teams. They've allowed the fewest yards per attempt, fewest air yards per attempt, fewest completions of 10-plus yards. And then even if we look at just from week 8 on, Baltimore still has allowed the lowest average quarterback rating. So if we look at then let's look at some comps here. We have 13 of the 17 quarterbacks to face Baltimore have gone under this line, not under their line, but just under 244.5 passing yards, including CJ Stroud in the first start of his career. He almost got there, I think, at 242 or something like that. But we can give him a break. It was the first start of his career. I think we were cautious last week. We mentioned it on the pod about first-time quarterbacks in the playoffs, and Stroud last week, and Love to a slightly lesser degree. To me, this kind of feels like the week where we maybe see CJ Stroud look a little bit like the rookie that he is. Baltimore picked Brock Purdy 4 times. Purdy only has 6 interceptions outside of those 4 picks on the entire season. And Baltimore picked him 4 times. They also picked Tua 2 times in just the last 3 weeks alone. So I could see a little bit of regression for CJ here, and taking his under 244.5. What do you guys think?
I think you're crazy. I mean, I think it's a very smart play if you look purely at numbers, but this guy just seems to be built different than any other rookie who's come into this league. So I personally would be afraid to play it, because I think he's just capable of great things, but Baltimore's a tough team. So analytically, I'm with you. As a football fan, I can't possibly do this. But Lucas, what about you?
Yeah, it takes some guts to play CJ Stroud under right now. So you guys are going to mention his pass attempts. I think you can still find a 34.5.
Yeah. I think that was the angle that I went with. We put this out on X yesterday on a little video. If you haven't watched that, please do. It's really interesting. Basically, just looking at his pass attempts, let's get it to 34.5. If you look at kind of overall in the season, 34.5 pass attempts, he's only cleared this in 7 out of 16 games. But if you use the game script filters on props like cash, and you look at when he's losing at halftime, he's actually cleared in 4 out of 4 games, with 44 against Baltimore in that first time that they played. So, this is another way of almost, fading the Texans, is like just saying they're going to be playing from behind and Stroud's going to throw it a lot. And maybe not be completing a lot of passes. So it's possible he can go over pass attempts, under yards. I think they're both feasible in this game.
Put them together.
Tom's always looking for a good parlay. All right.
All right.
Let's move on. Let's go to the Packers, 49ers. Packers are 9-8 on the season. 49ers are 12-5. 49ers are -9 after taking a month off from playing football, it seems like. And the total in this one's nice, 50.5. So should be a lot of overs in this one. I don't know what to think. Lucas, who are you picking in this game from a spread standpoint? You think the 49ers demolish them, or you think the Packers can repeat what they did last weekend?
Yeah, we talked about this for a minute before the pod. I'm on the 49ers -3 in a teaser. 9.5. I was looking for maybe a +10 on Green Bay, but I think it's really just all 49ers all day. I like Jordan Love a lot, but I agree with Tom that maybe this is a spot for a younger quarterback to regress a little bit in the second round of the playoffs
Yeah.
against an elite defense, maybe top 1 defense in the league. On the road, might get some rain in Santa Clara. It's just a tough spot for Green Bay, I think.
Yeah.
As much as I do like Jordan Love. Jordan Love was incredible last Sunday, but expecting a little bit of regression from them.
All right. So what do you like for Jordan Love? You like his passing yards or something else?
I was looking at Brock Purdy under pass attempts. You guys talked about this on Twitter yesterday.
Okay.
Speaking of the game script filters, I got a under 31.5. I'm not sure if there's still a 31.5 out there. I'm sure a lot of 30s and a halves for the pass attempts. Oh, you can get a 31.5 on BetMGM.
Yeah, 30.5 on DraftKings, and FanDuel's coming down. FanDuel's down to 29.5. So this one is moving down finally. But yeah, let's just say 30.5. You like it there?
Yeah, I still like it at 30.5. So it's a good time to check out the game script filter. I know people have asked about that. If you want to see his numbers when the 49ers are winning at halftime.
Yeah.
It's pretty good to me.
What is that? That's like looks like 10 almost 10 straight weeks where he's gone under this. And really the opportunity against Green Bay is to run the ball. So I think there's going to be a heavy dose of McCaffrey in this game. And I think I don't see the 49ers playing from behind. If they are, it's a first quarter they come out slow. The Packers have good momentum, but I think pretty quickly they should catch up if that does happen. And at that point they should be running the ball quite a bit. All right, so we like Brock Purdy under 30.5 pass attempts. Anybody else on San Francisco, Lucas?
Yeah, the first bet I made was Christian McCaffrey over 86.5 rushing yards. That one's a little bit self-explanatory. I think anything in the 80s is perfectly fine for Christian McCaffrey. I think he probably gets well over 100, but not too much value there with McCaffrey. But yeah, 89.5, the lowest line now with Christian McCaffrey. It's a great spot to run the ball. Looks like we might get some rain. Just a best player in the NFL. Give him the football.
Oh, you're calling him the MVP this year?
Well, offensive player of the year. I think Lamar's got the MVP.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you look at running backs versus Green Bay, it's been a couple weeks since we've had like a really big performance, but the running backs that they faced are just not nearly on the same level as McCaffrey. I mean, Tony Pollard has had a really down year. He still put up 56 yards. But if you go a little further back, just mid-December, your guy Rashad White put up 89, Isaiah Pacheco 110, Barkley 86. So they are very susceptible to power runners just taking off. So I could see McCaffrey ripping a 50-yard run in this game and getting half of this in just one carry. So I was with you, 89.5.
Last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, exactly.
Like second or third play of the game, he ripped a 60-yard run.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Tom, anybody on the 49ers for you?
On the 49ers, yes. I liked Kittle here over 53.5 receiving yards. I see we also got a comment on X here. Someone asking about Kittle receiving yards. He said 55.5. Maybe it's gone up a bit.
52.5.
Sure.
You could still get it on DraftKings.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. So I had it at 53.5. Green Bay allows the most yards per reception since week 8 to tight ends at 12.5. They've allowed the most yards after catch, most yards after contact, which is always interesting, which means they're having trouble tackling in that secondary there. 3.6 yards after contact to opposing tight ends. Number 2 is only at 1.4, so it's a huge difference. They're also the highest in all of these categories on the entire season. Kittle has been awesome at home. Click on his home filter there. 6 of 7 home games, including 5 straight. 7 of 10 overall, and click on his splits against Green Bay. He's got Green Bay's number there. He's cleared this line in both the last 2 times he's played Green Bay. Same coaching staff there. So yeah, let's go, George Kittle.
Yeah, I mean Ferguson put up 93 receiving yards against Green Bay last week. That was like the one option from a receiving standpoint that was working for Dallas. So I think this is a really good play. I think he's going to be able to exploit them. So I love that play.
Nice.
All right,
You
let's
like
move
George
on.
Kittle?
Yeah, you like him?
It's deciding between Debo or George Kittle, but I think you made a good case for George Kittle.
Yeah,
Right.
Debo had like a little stretch in the middle of the season when he first came back from injury where he looked untouchable, and he's kind of leveled off a little of late. So I don't know what to expect, but with him, I could see Debo, getting a handoff and running for, 20-something yards too. So whenever those rushing props come out on him, I might take a look at those.
Yeah, we did get Debo rushing props earlier this morning.
Oh, they came out. Oh, where's he at? Let's see. Don't see.
I don't see it on props. I see rush
Yeah.
and receiving. I see rush and receiving, but
All right,
at least
take
on
a look.
props. Yeah.
Take a look at this later. All right, let's go over the Green Bay side. Lucas, you got anything on Green Bay?
Yeah, I got a little alt builder. I've experimented with the alt unders on. You can get it on DraftKings, BetMGM. I've had success with these last couple of weeks. I got Aaron Jones under 89.5 rushing yards. His main line got a little bit too low for comfort because he's been playing so well with AJ Dillon. I'm pretty sure he's going to be out again this week. So I got under 89.5, and I paired that with Jordan Love 200 plus passing yards. That's something like minus 110 on BetMGM. So no running back has run for 90 yards on San Francisco yet. And if you like Jordan Love, I think he can pretty easily get 200. I think he's had that in 12 straight games. So a little alt builder there.
Yeah, no, and those are complementary plays, even though they're different players. You're basically predicting a game script where Green Bay is behind, right? And Jordan Love's having to throw the ball, and Aaron Jones isn't getting quite as many touches as he's got in the last 4 weeks. So I think that's a nice play. You said Jones under 89.5 and Love over 200 passing yards. Very nice.
Yep. Yeah, that 7.5 is a little bit scary, just because he's been playing so well and he's getting pretty much all the work right now.
Yeah,
alt line there with Aaron Jones.
You and Tom love to try to buck the trend here, going against the guys who are performing really well, but I like it. That's where you get some value.
I think people are too. I think what happens is you have a game like that last week against like the Green Bay game against Dallas, and I think people get too high on these guys. They didn't have those expectations going in for sure. Green Bay, not so. Yeah, I think sometimes these get a little bit inflated because everyone has recency bias there.
Yeah, I mean, look at the rush attempts. He's had 20 plus rush attempts. Like if they're playing 10 points behind in this game, they're not going to have that luxury to kill the clock like that. So yeah, unless they're in a position that they're up, I think this is a great play. So, all right, Tom, anything else on the Green Bay side?
Yeah, I got a couple comments to go over here. Molly from Australia chiming in on YouTube. Debo's at 16.5 rush yards there, 3.5 rush attempts. And we got on X, Hot DB21 saying he likes Love 2+ passing touchdowns. You want to pull that one up quickly? Take a look at that before I give out my play.
That's music to your ears, Tom. You were on that all season, right?
All season. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And you could see why. Yeah.
So 2.5 or 1.5? What was the
1.5 over 1.5? Yeah,
1.5 seems good. I mean, this is a 50-point game, right? So the Green Bay is going to have to score a little bit, and knowing that the rush defense is tough, I think this is probably their opportunity is a couple passing touchdowns by Love. So I think that's a good play at minus 114. Lucas, would you get behind that one?
I can get behind that, yeah.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a Jordan Love fan. Not as
Yeah.
much as you guys, but I do like Jordan Love a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's been out of his mind. At some point, this is going to come crashing down. But
I don't
so
know.
far,
Something seems to be clicking. Maybe I don't know.
he's playing with a lot of confidence, and he's super
Yeah.
athletic, and he's got good young wide receivers, great tight ends. Like, I mean, they got what it takes to win, but this is unfortunately probably the worst team to go up against. So, all right, Tom, what do you got on Green Bay?
I got Aaron Jones receiving yards. This has just been a theme for me all season long. I love targeting receiving yards by running backs. Over 16.5 receiving yards, minus 120 on DK. Of the remaining teams left in this postseason, San Francisco's defense has been basically number one or number two. They've been flip-flopping pretty much all season with Houston at giving up the most targets and receptions to opposing running backs. When Green Bay is down after the first quarter, Aaron Jones has cleared this in his last 3 of 4. When they're down at halftime and the full game, also last 3 of 4. And in that one miss, he had 16 receiving yards. So almost cleared this in 4 straight when they've been down. And I would expect them to be down here. And then I loved this here. So if you look at the most recent running backs, we can look at even just since the beginning of December against San Francisco. You got Bryan Edwards had 32 on a line of 12.5. Gus Edwards, 39 on a line of 8.5. Justice Hill, 31 on a line of 10.5. Kenneth Walker, 33 on a line of 8.5. Kenneth Gainwell, 42 on a line of 7.5. So just blowing away their lines, catching passes out of the backfield. And then worth noting, though, you take it with a grain of salt. Green Bay played San Francisco in the divisional round 2 years ago. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback then, but most of the coaching staff is the same. Aaron Jones had 10 targets in that game, 9 receptions for 129 receiving yards.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with 129. All right, very nice.
Thank you.
All right, I'll give out one more play on this one. I like Luke Musgrave. I think his line was moving, but I think we can get him at 18.5 receiving yards. It's come up quite a bit. Let's see.
I was hoping you would say Luke Musgrave.
Yeah.
He's down to 18.5 on FanDuel. I just saw that right before I hopped on here.
Yeah, look at that. He's up to 20 and a half at DraftKings, 18.5 on FanDuel. So, I mean, I think this is a really good buy low spot. The guy is tough as nails. He went out, with a injury, back in, I think it was November, came back, played one game against Chicago, had 11 yards, and then put up 52 yards on 3 catches last week. He was really splitting the share with Kraft, still at the tight end position. I think this week he'll get more snaps. I think he'll get more targets. I think he's in a really good spot. I think 18.5 receiving yards is kind of ridiculous for one of Love's primary targets. What do you like on him, Lucas?
He's got a juice receptions line at 1.5 on FanDuel, like minus 205. So wasn't sure if I was going to do yards or pair that receptions prop with Debo or George Kittle. I might do Kittle then. I was hoping you would mention Luke Musgrave, so that definitely caught my eye just a little bit ago.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because the other angle I had with Musgrave was Musgrave 2 receptions and Kittle 3 receptions. You can get that for minus
there you go.
Minus 117.
That's my play.
Yeah, that's another nice little tight end altered receptions play. So good other angle. All right. Before we close the books on here, here's just one other angle to throw out to think about for McCaffrey. McCaffrey is likely to dominate this game. You can get McCaffrey most rushing yards for the weekend, right? Out of all the games for plus 150. So just consider that as a potential good option as well to play for McCaffrey. I think the next best player was at plus 500. So he's really deemed to be the favorite on that one. So consider that also for this game. All right, let's move on. We got we have the next game. We got Bucks at the Lions. Bucks are 9-8 on the season. Lions 12-5. Lions are minus 6.5 favorites at home, and the total is also nice, 48.5. So lots of points being scored. Both of these teams have pretty good run defenses, atrocious pass defenses. I expect the quarterbacks to be bombing away, lots of yards in this game. Lucas, what's your play of the game on this one?
Yeah, Rachaad White's been my guy for 2 seasons now, but this week I'm fading him. I think for the first time ever, I'm taking his under rushing attempts.
Oh, man.
I'm with you.
Under
That was my play too.
rushing attempts.
All right. So what was the line that you had? 15.5, or you had it higher?
Well, I got 16.5. I'm not sure if there's still 16 out there. 15.5. I still like it at 15.5. The under there.
Yeah. The best you can get it right now is 15.5. So you're going against the trend again. 6 out of the last 7 weeks, he's been at 18 plus, but those are weeks in which the Bucks have been leading, right? So you're expecting him to be behind in this game. Is that the assumption?
I'm expecting that. I think that Detroit can certainly put up points. I'm also on St. Brown receiving yards. Detroit's definitely an elite run defense. Not too many guys have hit their rushing props against them. I got St. Brown at 87.5, but I think 90 might do a all 80 plus or 90 plus for St. Brown. He's been a cash cow for me also. I think he's hit that line all but 1 game at home this year. I think Tampa Bay's secondary can certainly be exploited. I think that, well, Devontae had a great game last week, but for the rest of the Eagles, not too much. I think that Tampa's secondary can certainly be exploited.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, Devontae had 148 receiving yards. So that's your last week. That was your wide receiver number 1, just going off on them. And that accounted for like over half of Hurts's passing yards. So I think he's going to get targeted quite a bit in this game. I would play him, anywhere from 90 all the way up to 100 receiving yards for plus money. So I think that's a great play. Tom, what
home splits?
Yeah. Oh, what do you say?
Home player.
Home. Oh yeah,
Detroit in general. Yeah, just Detroit in general.
Detroit in general. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna. That place is gonna be rocking. So I think there's gonna be a lot of home field advantage on this one. So all right, Tom, give us your play on this one. What do you like?
So I was on Rachaad White under his rushing yards. Since week 8, Detroit's allowed the second fewest yards per attempt, second fewest yards before contact, the fewest rushes of 10 plus yards. They have not allowed a single rush of 20 plus yards since week 8. For perspective, Green Bay's allowed 7. San Francisco and KC have allowed 5 each. They've not, so no explosive plays coming from this Detroit defense. When Tampa Bay's losing at halftime, Rachaad White's 1 for 6 on the clearing 55.5 rush yards. He's 2 for 8 overall in losses. If you look at last week, Detroit held Kyren Williams to only 61 yards on a line of 98.5. And then if we take out, if we toss out that pretty meaningless week 17 or week 18, whatever it was, game against Minnesota, the last game of the season, 7 straight and 10 of the last 11 running backs to face Detroit have gone under their rushing lines. So that was my angle on Rachaad White.
Yeah, I recall Kyren Williams because we were on that last week. We played the under 80 something. This says 98, but it was, I think when we played,
it wasn't that high. Yeah,
it was in the 80s. Yeah. But regardless, he did get injured in that game, but he wasn't going to cross that line. So this is going to be a shootout, right? And the quarterbacks are going to be throwing the ball quite a bit. And it's scary because his recent success has made Lucas a very rich man. But I don't see him getting 60 plus rushing yards again. That seems to be the wrong week to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, you got anything on the Detroit side?
Yeah, I'm actually on both quarterbacks over passing yards in this game. Let's start with Baker real quick, just since we're talking about Tampa Bay here, over 253.5. So in our model here of the teams left, Detroit, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay are by far the best teams to target quarterback passing against. Since week 7, Detroit's allowed an average of 101.5 quarterback rating, the most yards per attempt, most air yards per attempt, most completions of 20 plus yards. They've also had the fewest sacks since midway through the season there. So I think this is Baker's going to have time to throw. This is going to be a lot of passing in this game, and I think he goes over this no problem.
Oh, that's right. This was the Nick Mullins special, right? Nick Mullins has put up 800 passing yards against Detroit, right? And we saw that when we were playing Stafford over last week, and I think Baker's going to have a field day. So, with that said, 253.5 is what you're playing, minus 114. 275 is plus 146. 300 passing yards is plus 260. I think you can go above that at plus, 325 is plus 450 and 350 is plus 800. I'd kind of stay away from those 325s and 350s. I think that's starting to get a little beyond Baker's capability, although Nick Mullins 400. But I like the value of 300 passing yards at plus 260 in this game. I think that's really good value. What do you think, Lucas? Would you sprinkle a little on Baker for 300?
I'd be able to sprinkle a little on 300. I'm not sure what the odds are on that, but I was looking at
plus
Baker
260.
Detroit's just such a tough team to run on.
Yeah,
and Baker pass attempts too. I think that's a good play.
Yes.
But if you want to do a little play with Jared Goff passing yards too, I think that's a great option. If you can build around a lot with that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, think about before you place your bets and come up with what you're going to pick. Think about how the game's going to play out, and most likely the Lions will be leading most of this game, if not the entire game, and Baker's going to be in a position where he's passing the ball. So all of these plays are correlated into a game script that we think is going to happen. I could easily see Baker, needing to throw for 300 to keep the Bucs in the game, and I love getting plus 260 on that. So, all right, Lucas, do you have anything else in this game?
Nothing else on this game right now.
All right. Let's move on to the last one.
Oh wait, hold on. I had just Goff real quick.
Oh right, sorry, I skipped over Goff.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I like Goff's passing yards as well, 270.5. So on the season, Tampa Bay has allowed by far the most completions of 10 plus yards among the remaining teams. Since week 6, they've allowed 141 completions of 10 plus yards. Number 2 on that list is Detroit at only 116. It's a huge difference. Last on that list is Kansas City at 79. So 141 to 79. There's so many big completions there. Since week 6, Tampa Bay has allowed the second highest quarterback rating, second most attempts, fewest quarterback knockdowns. Goff's cleared this in 9 of his last 13 games, 6 of his last 9 home games, including 4 straight. And if we go back to, I think it was right around week 6 there or so, October 15th at Tampa Bay, 353 passing yards against this Bucs team. So I like both these guys to go over. Nice parlay.
Yeah, that's nice. And if you look again, we're at Thursday, and all these lines will start to come together from the books. But right now, there's still value. And if you look, FanDuel's got this a little higher than you said at 272.5. But DraftKings and Caesars are both already up to 280.5. So you got an 8-yard difference, which really could be the difference between cash and not cash. And you could see a couple of these games are right there.
Very close. Yeah.
So I would go grab this 272.5 before it goes up more at FanDuel.
Yeah, that was 270.5 late last night, West Coast time. So that's it's creeping up.
Moving. Yep, it's moving. All right, very good.
These lines pretty early.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or you can do what Lucas does and stay up till 2 a.m. and get them the night they come out and get an extra 5 to 10 yards on all of these, which is definitely the smartest move. All right. Just one other alt builder on this one. Just to throw out there. I got Goff 225 passing yards, Baker 200 passing yards, St. Brown 5 receptions, and Mike Evans 3 receptions. All extremely high hit rates. All gonna happen. That's plus 100. So
all gonna happen. I like.
They're all gonna happen. I'm not guaranteeing it. but it's got a very high chance. So what are we going to say, Tom?
I didn't end up giving out a pick on him, but for just my gut is telling me this is a Mike Evans game. I feel like he had a bad game last week, kind of like disappeared a little bit. And I don't know. I think Evans has a big game in store. So that's just my gut.
Yeah. I mean, his line is 70.5 yards. I mean, the 3 receptions that I came up with is like, this is why I'm fairly confident about this one.
Yeah.
Even when he plays bad, he still gets his 3 catches. So I love all these plays. I think they're all going to cash. So we'll put that one out on X because it's got a couple components to it. All right, let's move on. The game of the weekend: my Chiefs versus the Bills. 11-6, both teams. Bills are -3 at home. Total is 45.5. Bills are coming after the Chiefs with a lot of anger from the past. I didn't realize. Did you guys realize? You probably knew this, but I didn't realize this was Mahomes' first playoff game on the road in his career.
Yes.
Excluding the Super Bowl games. So that was a little concerning, but we'll see. Let's see what you guys think. All right, so Lucas, who are you picking in this game first? I gotta, as a Chiefs fan, I gotta hear hopefully the right direction.
I like all the favorites this week. It's a little bit concerning. I feel like one of them's got to mess up. I like all the favorites to win this week. I like Buffalo at home. I think it's a better team right now, and I'm not sure if Kansas City's quite as good as their record, unfortunately. Sorry to disappoint you on that, Dave, but
no, I think it's a fair statement. I think right now Buffalo is more of a complete team, right? I think they're clicking on offense and defense, whereas the Chiefs seem to struggle to put both pieces of the game together at the same time. Chiefs defense has been pretty solid, and we'll probably talk through that in a minute. But the offense has not been what it's been in the past. So, but with all that said, Mahomes is Mahomes, and he could always do it. So, 3-point spread should be a close game, should be fun. Let's start with your favorite pick of this game, Lucas. What do you like?
Well, you mentioned about sniping lines, and I sniped a 34.5 on Josh Allen rushing yards.
Wow.
So I'm very excited about that one. I think he's now in the mid-40s.
What's it at now?
44.5.
You got a 34.5, and it's up to 45.5.
34.5. So yeah, I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah,
sure
that's
you still play it. You still playing it at 44.5?
Well, I like Buffalo to win, so I'm accounting for the kneel down. So I'd rather just do a 40+ for Josh Allen. Like the 44.5. If you count for kneel downs, maybe that might ruin it.
You're gonna get Dave
like
upset
Buffalo
here.
to win. If you like, like Buffalo to win, you got to count for the kneel downs.
That is honestly the worst way to lose a rushing. That's why I'm a big fan of attempts, because once you cross over that line, there's no going back.
Yeah.
So I prefer the attempts there. At 44.5.
Yeah. So rush attempts.
I was on the attempts last week. He didn't catch the attempts. He catched the yards with the 50-something yard touchdown run, but hooked on the rushing attempts.
But you can get 8.5 attempts, But again, just because they're in a winning position doesn't mean you're going to get 2 or 3 kneel downs at the end of the game. So you can't really bake that in, right? The Chiefs could finish the game with the ball, and you won't get those. So as much as that's a nice little padding to rush attempts, it's not a guarantee if you think the Bills are going to win. So I wouldn't bank on that one. What else did you play in this one, Lucas?
Got an alt reception builder on FanDuel.
Okay, let's hear it.
I got Diggs, Kelsey, 4+ receptions each. Very high hit rates for them. And Rashee Rice, 5+ receptions. I think I got it at -120 on FanDuel.
Yeah, those are the guys. Kelsey hasn't really been being Kelsey this season, but from a reception standpoint, he seems like a pretty safe play for, what'd you say, 4 catches?
4+ for Stephon Diggs and Travis Kelsey.
Yeah. And Rashee Rice is just a beast. He's been doing it every week. So yeah, I mean, Kelsey's done this in every game but 2 this season. So I think this will be a good spot for him. All right, Tom, what do you like in this one?
Before I get to mine, we got a couple questions out on YouTube and X. Let me take a look at some of these. Read the Green Betting, our buddy over on X. What's going on? He asked earlier on in the pod, but didn't want to miss it. He's loving Mahomes over 37.5 pass attempts. You guys look at that at all? You liking that, Dave?
I did look at that. I think it's a phenomenal bet. I actually had it at 36.5 for -115. Let's see. Let's go to Mahomes, see what we can get it at. Might have gone up. 37.5, but if you shop it around, yeah, you could still get it for 36.5 on DraftKings. So make sure you're shopping there. I really like it either one, 36.5 or 37.5, but 4 of the last 5 weeks. And if you look at his prior games against Buffalo, that's what was really catching my eye. 54, 44, 40, 43. Chiefs will probably be playing from behind at some point in this game or the whole game. And I think this is a really good play. So this is actually one of my favorite plays of the game.
Are all 4 of those games in Kansas City? I don't see an at Buffalo anywhere on there.
What's Buffalo yet?
That's weird, right?
That's weird. I mean, this was a playoff game,
games in there.
Yeah,
I
guess so.
I don't know. Maybe Mahomes was out when they played in Buffalo or something. I don't know. What I will tell you is, when you look, make sure when you look at the prior matchup that they played, I think in December of this year, that 12-10 game, Isaiah Pacheco did not play in that game. So I think Pacheco is a big factor in this one. He's probably, to me, he's the second most important offensive weapon on the Chiefs now, behind Mahomes. So I think that'll make a big difference in this game. But Tom, let's go back to you. Do you have any other questions from the group?
Yeah, I got Hot DBs asking about Kincaid. I'll get to him in a second. I don't know if you're gonna like what I'm gonna say, but I'll have him in 1 second. Then we got a question about Josh Allen, anytime touchdown.
Lucas, you were on that 2 weeks ago, right? When we had the week 18 pod. You like
that was the one game we didn't cash.
That was the one.
Cash about every other week the last couple months. Not that game.
All right, so what we can get that for?
I think you get that.
Yeah, plus 100. You like that for this week?
I think it's a great option to score every week, especially at even money right there.
We just cashed this on Monday, Dave.
You did not cash that.
Yeah. Yeah, what Tom did, which I think is a good play for this one, to juice it up a little bit more. You do 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown. I would say there's very, very little chance that he doesn't get a passing touchdown in this game, and that'll juice this from probably plus 100 up to maybe plus 130 or so, maybe even higher. So I think that's a good angle to kind of push this up a little bit and get more value.
I'm gonna tell you what it is right now. It's you want to know what it is? Oh no, sorry, never mind. I just clicked the wrong thing. All right, never mind. It was plus 150 on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, so. But I think it's anytime touchdown was negative then. So
yeah.
We'll see. Let's see what let's see what this is. All right. Any other questions from the group, Tom?
No, I think that's it for right now. All right, I got a couple plays here.
All right, let's hear them.
Let's start, since there was a question on X here about Dalton Kincaid. So I'm going to fade Dalton Kincaid here. He was saying over, Hot DB was saying over 40.5. I have him under 41.5 receiving yards. Since week 8, Kansas City has given up the fewest yards per reception to tight ends of the remaining teams, at only 7.4. Green Bay, for perspective here, has given up the most at 12.5. They've also given up the fewest yards before catch at only 2.8. Tampa Bay and San Francisco have allowed the most at 6.3. So also quite a big delta there. Against Kansas City in that December 10th game, he had 8 targets, 5 receptions, and only 21 yards. So he cleared his receptions. He had a decent target share, but still was held in check with only 21 yards. One of his lower outputs of the season there. So I'm going to take a little risk here and go fading Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, I think it's a good play. I think this is the one area that is a tough matchup for Buffalo, especially against
rookie tight end in the playoffs. I think rookie tight ends are always tough, and I think maybe this is the game he's held in check here.
And you got Dawson Knox back, taking a little bit of share away from him. He caught the touchdown pass in the last game. So, Kincaid was definitely active in the previous game and had a great game. But this is, I think, a tougher matchup. So if I had to play one way or the other, unbiased play, I would play under 40.5. I think it's at now. So I think that's a good play.
Okay.
All right. What's your other play, Tom?
All right. I had James Cook over 61.5 rushing yards. I think this goes to Lucas. If you think Buffalo's going to win this game, there'll be some more attempts in there. But in general, running backs have really been able to run on Kansas City all year of the teams remaining. Most yards per attempt, most yards before contact, most rushes of 10+ yards, most explosive rushes. And look at all these guys that went over just since Thanksgiving. Mixon went over, Cook went over, all over their line, not over this line. AJ Dillon, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift. So this line's a little bit higher than it was the previous time that they played back in early December. I think he was around 58.5 there, but I like him over 61.5.
Yeah. What do you think, Lucas? Good play?
Yeah, if you like Buffalo to win, I think that's a good play.
Yeah, definitely. You can do the rushing yards or even the rush attempts. It's probably a good angle as well. He's gone over 14.5 in 4 of the last 5 weeks. Really well. Buffalo's been on this win streak, so that's probably a good play as well. If you do believe that that Buffalo is going to be leading at halftime, I think that's a great play. All right.
Yeah, I got one more here. I want to run by you, Dave.
Okay.
Not a lot of the trends are not there to back this up, but the matchup is. So to pull up Pacheco there, receiving yards. I can't get off. Running back receiving yards, especially because on the season, Buffalo's tied with San Francisco of the remaining teams for most receptions to running backs. They've allowed 82 receptions on 107 targets to opposing running backs this season. His line's 18.5 receiving yards. I got him minus 114, but a little up and down there. So I wanted to have you weigh in there, Dave, and see what you think about Pacheco here.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's up and down because with Jerick McKinnon out for the season,
I know.
He was really the third down back who was getting most of those little passes from Mahomes. So I think it's a good play. The other way you could look at this, I almost wrote this one down, but his usage is so low I couldn't go there. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well at 4.5 receiving yards might be the better angle. I see Lucas laughing.
I was looking at that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Why'd you lay off of this one?
I don't know if I can play that, but I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the greatest player ever, but at 4.5 receiving yards, it's just, I don't know. I like it. I don't know if I like it enough to play it, to be honest.
I know. I think if I'm gonna play one running back with receiving yards, I think I go with CEH. But look
at his splits with Pacheco playing though.
Right. Yeah. This whole section here was when Pacheco was out. I think he's played in 3 games or something like that with Pacheco.
Something like that.
Without Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah. I don't know where it. Oh, there it is with Pacheco. Yeah. So 3 weeks in a row, but again, I don't know. It's hard to play players like going to be on the field for like 15% of the snaps, if that. So I personally
ever, but
yeah,
Mike catch in the middle of the third quarter, one screen for 6 yards.
I will say in that
field yet.
Yeah, I will say in that amazing, maybe the greatest game ever played. One of them that playoff game, that overtime one between Buffalo and KC. CEH had 1 reception for 9 yards in that game on 2 targets, so he would have cleared it on that one reception alone in that game.
Yeah, he's had a good history, but he was getting a lot more touches back then. So so I think he might be the angle. Personally, I think given the inconsistency with Pacheco and the lack of touches for CEH, I would probably lay off both. But let's quickly talk about Pacheco, because I still think even if the Chiefs are behind, I think they're going to need to run the ball. I do think this is going to be a pass heavy game. So what do you guys think about 14.5 rush attempts for Pacheco here? He's done this in 6 of his last 7 weeks. Put up 24 against Miami. Obviously, they were running the ball quite a bit with the lead. You think he'll get 15 rush attempts this week?
I looked at this one. It seems good based on that trend there. Buffalo is yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good feel one way or the other on that one, to be honest with you. I'm not sure how this this of all the games, this game is the one that I wasn't sure had the least feel for of the outcome of this game. So that dictates these rush attempts quite a bit. So I don't know. I'm to stay away from it.
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 games we covered -9 and spreads, and the Bucks Lions was -6.5. So really, the winners of those games are pretty clear from the perspective of the books. So you can come up with a very confident game script. May not play out, but you can confidently put your bets around that game script. This one's a -3 game, so it could go either way.
It's 2.5. It's 2.5 now, and that's basically telling you the home team, nowadays basically gets gives those 2.5. So this is kind of like a pick 'em here according to the book. So
exactly. All right, Lucas, you got anything else in this game?
Yeah, I think that's a good live betting spot, but with 14.5 rushing attempts, that made me look at Patrick Mahomes passing attempts because that seems just a little bit too low, and I think that we might get a shootout with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I think that I'd prefer Mahomes over passing attempts rather than Pacheco.
Yeah. Again, like you said, if you believe the Chiefs are going to be playing from behind, 36.5 is a no-brainer. He'll probably clear 40 pass attempts in this game if they're behind. So I think that's the way to go. I think that's a smarter play despite Pacheco's recent success. So let's go with that. All right. You guys got anything else for this game or anything else for the week?
That's it. I think we're closing in on an hour here, but a lot of good stuff on this pod. So that was everything for you too, Dave.
Yep, I got everything out.
Yeah.
I tried to play cautiously on the Chiefs Bills because I don't bet with my head on those games. So that's Mahomes pass attempts. That was really my only play on that one.
Nice. All right. Well, we hope the success continues from last time Lucas joined the pod. Thank you, Lucas, for joining. Always a pleasure. And everyone enjoy the games this weekend. Thank you for all the questions on YouTube and X. Really appreciate you guys joining us. And what do you say we all make some money this weekend?
Let's do it.
Appreciate you guys for having me on. Let's make some money this week.
Let's do it, boys.